As a full-time trader in the cryptocurrency space, I observe and analyze the price action inside the Bitcoin chart each and every day. And from time to time, I feel it's incredibly important to switch my perspective. And for this, I flip the chart upside down. I invert the scale and look at this from an entirely different point of view, as I feel flipping the chart upside down really is like putting a new set of eyes on this chart. As what we can do from this is try and remove any confirmation biases that we may have, as many do fall victim to being in that trap of looking at things with a bias to the upside, or on the contrary, looking at it with a bias to the downside. And for me, I feel it's important to look at it from this perspective to really negate any of those biases and confirm any of my hypotheses or theories from looking at the chart here on a regular scale. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Crypto Kirby here, your cryptocurrency expert, back with another edition of the daily live stream. What is going on, my friends? Today I'd like to discuss Bitcoin and the price action we're seeing right now. The chart does continue to consolidate here. The price action has been stuck really between this $10,600 range and the $10,200 floor. Right now, we are in a larger pattern here. This pennant that's been building for months now, ever since our blow off top around 14,000. So today what I want to do is flip this chart upside down. We'll look at it from the regular perspective as well, but then I want to look not only here at the Bitcoin chart, but the altcoin total market cap chart as well, upside down it, and see what we're looking at when we look at it from a different perspective. So as a full-time trader, I'd like to discuss with you my strategy, my game plan, and how I plan to crush this market right now in the immediate term. So without any further ado, you guys already know the deal. If you like these daily crypto videos and nightly live streams, smack that thumbs up button, click the subscribe, tick the little bell, and let's get this crypto. Moon the likes, ladies and gentlemen. Moon them up. All right, so we'll begin with our Bitcoin technical analysis. And of course, before we begin, this is not investment advice, this is not trading advice. These are only my own opinions, ideas, and speculative hypotheses on the market. Always do your own research and your own due diligence before investing or trading, as this market is extremely high risk, and I am not your financial advisor. I will never tell you what to do with your trades or investments. That being said, let's begin here with the regular scale just to get an overall idea of what's gone on here. Dating all the way back here, really to 2018, the entire bear market here for Bitcoin. It was quite evident, ladies and gentlemen, that we were in a bearish descending triangle, flat bottom of support along the bottom, with a downward sloping line of resistance after a series of lower highs. Then, on the bottom here, in the Bitcoin bear market bottom, after our capitulation out of the descending triangle, Bitcoin then formed an ascending triangle, just the opposite, a flat line of resistance along the top with an upward sloping support along the bottom, leading to our breakout there in April 2019 before our parabolic rise that we've been on right now. Let's get this crypto. Now, most recently here in the structure where we currently are at right now, Bitcoin right now is tentatively in a descending triangle formation, flat line of support along the bottom with many touch points and a series of lower high resistance points along the top. So where we find ourselves right now, this does look like a classic bearish pattern, very reminiscent of what we saw back there in 2018. Does it not look like that, right? So now what I want to do here is, since we've seen all of this, right? We've seen that this pattern is forming here. We've seen that in the altcoin market, the total crypto cap for the altcoins has had a death cross on the 50 and 200-day moving averages, etc., etc. Let's flip this upside down and see the story that we're getting here, okay? So if we look back at these patterns that I was just showing previously here, we could see that this here, the capitulation point, was a clear ascending triangle, right? If you flip it upside down, which per classical technical analysis theory, you would look to buy the breakout here once it breaks resistance, right? And what would have happened, ladies and gentlemen? Ding, ding, ding. Chicken wings for dinner, tofu if you're vegan. Upon that break to the upside, it would have gone up 47% roughly, right? So that's classic there. And when you flipped it upside down, this looked very natural, right? A series of higher lows and just a line of support, or excuse me, a line of resistance along the top, that, if broken, could lead to higher highs, which in reality was lower lows, but you get the picture here, right? And this was an area, ladies and gentlemen, where Don Carbanaccio kept shorting all along the way, right? I was very, very bearish in 2018, ladies and gentlemen, and I was waiting for this floor to give way, okay? And I kept shorting all along this region. Right here, I kept shorting. I had shorted all of these rallies to begin with, but then I was shorting that final resistance point there, right? Which then wound up breaking out, right? It was really support. Just bear in mind, ladies and gentlemen, when we're flipped upside down, this is resistance here, but truthfully, in reality, it was support, right? So I saw that this pattern was playing out like this. I shorted, and what do you know? Ding, ding, ding. Then we get to the bottom of the bear market. That capitulation was in, right? And let's zoom in now here at the top, okay? What we saw then at the bottom of the bear market was just the opposite. Again, right? This then looks like a descending triangle that would break to the downside, does it not? Flat line of support along the bottom with a series of lower highs. And what you would be looking for there is a break of the support, quote unquote support. In reality, it was resistance. But once it broke there, you would look for further movement to the downside. And what did we get, ladies and gentlemen? Boom, again, perfect. And when you actually look at this on the regular scale, okay, this looked quite bearish to me here. Regardless of everything, the capitulation, right? I had shorted the capitulation, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, Bitcoin, all of it. Shout out to my VIPs. I know you guys remember that. And for me here, I continued to short in this range, right? I was shorting these resistance levels. You know, I did not wind up going long down here because of the fact that we still were on this lower high trajectory. Upon that capitulation, nothing had really changed for me. But when you switch it and look at it upside down, it does look really like a classic descending triangle that may look for further movement to the downside, which in reality was to the upside. This, to me, looking at it upside down, makes it way more clear than it does on the regular scale. And this is just an example I wanted to show you that sometimes taking a different look at this, right, from a different point of view, and just simply switching it upside down can give you a different perspective on what you're looking at, because the lines of confluence here are the same, but it just gives you an alternate perspective, right? So that was another unique one there. And now we look at where we are here inside the chart and this giant structure that we're in right here, right now. So for me, ladies and gentlemen, does this not look like an ascending triangle here for Bitcoin? Of course, right now, we have found that resistance point many times along the top here, right? This green box has been resistance. Here we are on a series of higher lows, right? Classic, just like what we saw over here, right? Look at it. I mean, the similarities are startling. This was that whole bear market zone, 6,000 support, okay? Series of higher highs, higher lows, and a flat line of the highs along the top, creating that resistance. And for me, ladies and gentlemen, this looks to be nearly identical to that price action that we saw in the past. Of course, past performance is not indicative of future results, but the pattern to me looks very, very similar here. And if I were a bull here, right, from this inverse perspective, right, what I would be looking for here is a break of this resistance level to look to continue to new highs, okay? But in reality of where we are at right now, we flip this back to the normal chart here. For me, it looks clear as day here that this looks to me like a classic descending triangle, waiting for tentative further movement to the downside upon that support being broken. But when you look at it from the perspective that we're on right now, oh, Kirby, but we're on a parabolic bull run, Kirby, a parabolic bull run. Okay, I get it. You can see the emotion throughout this entire trend, right? But when we flip it upside down, okay, does this not look like a potential spot that if broken out to the upside, that you would look for further upside action? I mean, would you not have looked for further upside action upon this breakout? I think it's very clear cut here, ladies and gentlemen, right? So for me, this actually looks like, when you look at it inversely, the bottom was in, right? Capitulation. This was actually our parabolic run up, but this looks like capitulation here when it's inverted. A bottom being found, with a resistance ceiling being built, and upon that resistance ceiling being built, you would tentatively look for this thing to climb back up to highs, right, to its previous highs. And right now, that's what it looks like on an inverted scale. It looks way more clear to me, because when you see this going to the downside, it kind of just makes it look less emotional to me, right? And looks more so like, look, the top was in. Reality, that was the bottom. But if that was the top there, then we had an immaculate capitulation. The bottom has been found with a lot of volatility, but at the end of the day, it's creating higher lows, which would be inherently bullish if this were on the regular scale, with a flat line of resistance along the top, which, if broken upon that series of higher lows, would be a bullish breakout to the upside, where we could look to test prior levels of resistance somewhere around this teal box or pink box vicinity. Let's get this crypto. And when we flip this right back over with the same lines drawn, does that look like it's far-fetched at all, right? And whenever I'm pointing this out here, ladies and gentlemen, these degenerates, they cry to Don Carbonaccio. Oh, Kirby, Bitcoin can't drop that far, Kirby. It can't drop that far. But when you look at it like this, right, sure, it looks worse for some odd reason, at least in my mind, right? It looks worse from this perspective. But when you flip it and invert it, does this not look like a textbook potential target zone for Bitcoin here? Let's get this crypto. I think that it's that the mind wants a bullish bias. The mind likes to see things going up rather than going down. But when I look at it from this perspective, does this chart not look like a classic bull pennant here, right? From an inverse perspective, right? Because if this were to drop down here, right, we would have to think that this level of the prior highs here, right, which in this case is the lows, we would think that this must be support here before we would look to tentatively test here again, right? And when we flip that over, what are we talking about here? We're talking about that it looks like this could be another top here for a double top before then another retest down, right? You see what I'm saying? It looks better to me inverted than it does on a regular scale. Again, the price action isn't changed. It's just a different way to look at the chart. Nothing is changed here at all. So for me, it's quite obvious, ladies and gentlemen, that this is maybe something that will remove a bias, whichever way that traders are looking at this. I know personally I've still been looking at this as a bearish pattern. So for me, this actually just helps confirm my hypothesis or confirm my theory that this may be looking for further downside action. As when we look at it inverted, it looks very bullish, which means on the non-inverted, it should be more bearish. And this even makes it look a little bit more bearish to me than I was previously thinking. Let's get this crypto. Now, this was Bitcoin here, and I hope that you see when you look at these patterns in reverse here that they do look more obvious to me in hindsight, right? Especially, ladies and gentlemen, this one up here, which was the bottom of the bear market, just looks like a classic descending triangle. And I actually wish that I had given more thought to looking at the inverted scale back during this time than I did. Let's get this crypto. So now I'm actually going to switch over to the altcoin market, ladies and gentlemen, as the altcoins have really been getting decimated for quite some time. And I think it's important to also give a perspective here on them as well. As we can see, Bitcoin, for me, this is really making me lean more bearish than bullish here on a macro level, ladies and gentlemen. It's really giving some more weight to my bearish thesis here that we could look to maybe fill that futures gap on the CME chart around 8,500, or potentially even just test back anywhere between this teal box and this pink box from, let's see the price points, around potentially 8,600 all the way down to 6,800. Let's get this crypto. Okay, so let's move over now to the inverted crypto total market cap, excluding Bitcoin, altcoins only. Let's get this crypto. But if you are just tuning in now, don't forget to moon up the likes, moon them up, smash those thumbs, click the subscribe button, tick the little bell. Let's get this crypto. Satoshi needs a new pair of shoes. Sheesh. And ladies and gentlemen, I can already tell, right? I do this nearly each and every day for you all. The clowns and degenerates that will be in the comment section later today. Oh, Kirby, you can't flip the chart upside down. Guess what, James? All I have to do is right click and hit invert scale and I flip it upside down. Let's get this crypto fired up. Okay, now what we can see here, this is the regular chart. non-inverted, okay? And Don Carbonaccio has been here pointing out these levels of interest for me as far back as we can go, okay? I had this red box here that if broken, old support, should be new resistance. It was, we can see to a perfect T. It tested, rejected, tested, and then upon breaking the box, ladies and gentlemen, boom, off to the races, and it was alt season. Ran up after breaking my resistance box, ran up over 55%. Let's get this crypto. Now, it's been rejected, and we've broken back below the red box, which now, again, should make this resistance here yet again. And we can see that Bitcoin has tested back up to this fib, tested back up to the box, and at this point is still in bearish control until proven otherwise, in my opinion. So now, I've been pointing it out here, if you are subscribed, that we broke this line in the sand here. This red box should have been new support. It did not act as it, and right now it is acting as new resistance. This blue box here, for me, is the last line of support before a potential, drop back down into this old bear market territory here. So let's flip this upside down now and take a look at the price action from that perspective. Well, let's look back on top here, ladies and gentlemen. What did we have here? Classic descending triangle, breakout to the downside, leading to further capitulation, right? Not real capitulation. On a regular scale, it was this immaculate alt season that we had all the way from April 2019 up until now. But you can see, this is classic here, right? This looks exactly like how the Bitcoin chart looked on the regular scale before our drop from 6,000 to 3,000, right? Does it not? Then over here as well, ladies and gentlemen, look, classic ascending triangle again. Not as beautiful as Bitcoin, but you can see it, right? And then over here as well, ladies and gentlemen, upward sloping with a line of resistance along the top. You get it, right? This has happened many times here, just like Bitcoin. And now, if this were the real chart here, okay, let's make believe here. We'll pretend that for just a moment right now, this is the real chart, even though this is the inverted chart. People would be saying, because everyone in this space, for whatever reason, has a bullish bias. They have a confirmation bias, which is not good as a trader. You do not want to be surrounding yourself in an echo chamber of traders and analysis that is only confirming what you want to believe. That is not healthy. You need to look at it from both perspectives, okay? And I know that right now, if this were flipped upside down, if this were the real chart here, many right now would be going, "Oh, Kirby, don't you understand? It's an inverted head and shoulders, Kirby, and we're about to break out and go to the moon." Right? And they would be looking at this saying, this blue line, "Kirby, once we get past that blue box, Kirby, don't you see the shoulder, the head, the shoulder, and then the moon?" But because it's upside down, right? Or because it's not upside down, nobody wants to point out the fact that this looks like a giant regular head and shoulders. You see what I'm saying, right? There's a confirmation bias here. You don't hear anybody besides Don Carbonaccio pointing out things like this because they don't want to look at it the other way, ladies and gentlemen. Sure, this could go the other way, right? It could go the other way and we just negate everything and go and rip back up. But again, ladies and gentlemen, look at this right here. This to me is a series of higher lows with a flat line of resistance being built right around the top, right? And what do we know from this pattern, ladies and gentlemen? These ascending triangles, they love to break out bullishly, quote unquote, right? With this flat line of support, flat line of resistance along the top, upward sloping support along the bottom, and per classical technical analysis theory, ascending triangles are played to the upside after breaking that line of resistance. And where are we at right now? Right? And when we flip it over back to the regular scale here, let's invert this again here. And what we can see is that when you look at this from a regular perspective, right, many want to clamor, "But Kirby, you see, we're on the support, so it could be the bottom, Kirby." Surely it could, my friend. Surely, little James, it could be the bottom. But this is why I like to look at it from a different perspective, because when we look at it from this perspective, does this not look like this has bullish momentum here? Does that not look like it's waiting, just waiting to burst to the upside here, which in reality on the regular scale is to the downside? Just something to think about, ladies and gentlemen, as I really believe that it's healthy to get a perspective from all angles here. So I wanted to show you this today. as the market right now is pretty flat today. And what I'm doing right now is awaiting my next move here for the Bitcoin chart. I'm getting ready to play this absolutely aggressively in here. As you could see, we're all coiled up and we're ready for a very large move, in my opinion. And from what I hope that you've absorbed here in terms of knowledge today by looking at this from an inverted perspective, upside down, that you could see that I believe this move has the potential to be massive. And really, it's in either direction, because you could see if we do wind up, on this reverse ascending triangle breaking out, right? You could see that the movements may be absolutely heinous from where we are at now, ladies and gentlemen, to the target range, right? And just on the contrary, say we do break down, quote unquote, out of this ascending triangle and we were to retest our old bottom, which in reality is the top, well, then look at that move there as well, ladies and gentlemen. Heinous in both directions, nearly equal, actually, just over 30% in either direction. But right now, I've stated for you that this trend, in my opinion, does happen to look quite bearish, but it can all change, and my analysis will change with it as well. Just wanted to point out here that sometimes flipping the chart upside down really does help you get a better perspective on your analysis and your theories that you've built around the price action. Let's get this crypto. So guys, I am going to be playing this aggressively here. If you want to see all of my trades in real time as I look to crush the market like a 2-ton man on a tuna fish can, I will be posting all of my trades, my entries, my exits, my strategies, all of it in real time to the absolute second for you in VIP. I can only do these streams here on YouTube once per day, but in VIP I post around the clock, 24/7, as I enter my trades, as I exit my trades, as I take my profits, etc., etc. I post it all for you. So if you do want to see my next trade here as I look to play the breakout in either direction and tentatively crush this market, well, ladies and gentlemen, that is where you will get it from me in VIP. And right now, guys, I think this is an important video for everybody that's trading Bitcoin to see, as I think there's many moon boys and degenerates that fall into this trapped mentality of a confirmation bias, just like many here when Bitcoin was consolidating around 6,000. It's the bottom, Kirby. It's the bottom, right? We'll never go down, Kirby. But then you invert the chart, James. And it looks like if this were the other way around, Kirby, this is the most bullish trend in history, Kirby. Don't you see it's going to break resistance and go to the moon? Then you flip it upside down and it's the exact same. But they don't say that, right? You see that? You see that, right? I hope you do, because for me, I think it's incredibly important to remove your confirmation bias and look at this all objectively. You don't want to be trading off of what you think or what you want to believe is real. You want to be trading what you see in front of you, the chart, right? And using it to the best of your ability to get that perceived edge and advantage over the market. Let's get this crypto. So guys, I will be trading what's in front of me here, and I will be looking to strategize to absolutely crush this market. And I will be posting all of my plays in real time as I make my trades for you in VIP. So I will see you there. If you could share this video, I think it's important for many to see this, ladies and gentlemen. I really do. So share this knowledge here and this perspective with your fellow traders in your chats, in your socials, etc. I think it's very beneficial to them. You'll do them a favor, which may help them longer term here with analyzing their charts in the future as well. So guys, it's been my absolute pleasure. If you could one last time, moon up the likes, moon them up, smash those thumbs, click the subscribe button, tick the little bell, and let's get this crypto. And if you are already subscribed, make sure that when you tick the bell next to the subscribe button, that it says all. There's two choices. It says personalized and all. Make sure you check off all, because I've gotten some comments recently that people are saying they're not getting the notifications when I post. But if you are subscribed, you tick the bell and then you tick all, you should get my posts here on YouTube essentially every day, once per day. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, the Don has spoken. I will see you in VIP. So until next time, be safe, be happy, be healthy. It's your boy, Crypto Kirby. Peace and love, my friends. Curbs.